All right, so today we're moving into chapter 5, and chapter 5 has to do with algebra stuff. Algebra meaning kind of like we're starting to use letters more than numbers. And you'll see a lot of this, especially in like 8th grade and things like that. So algebraic expressions, that's today. And hopefully it won't be too bad, but we'll give it a shot, and we're going to take it nice and slow between now and when we come back from break, right? So first, let's talk about what is an algebraic expression, right? An expression versus, let's say, for example, an equation. First of all, this is an example of an algebraic expression. 2x plus 1. That's an idea. That's an algebraic expression, okay? There's a variable term in there. There are, we have an addition, we have multiplication going on, okay? Algebraic expressions can be really short, they can be really long, okay? But the one thing you'll notice is there's no equal sign. The difference between an expression and an equation is an equation has an equal sign. So that's pretty easy to remember. Equation, equal sign. And that's the kind of the deal there. So equation has an equal sign. So again, an expression is kind of like in language arts, like an expression is kind of like a phrase, and an equation is like a full sentence. That's one way I like to look at it. Okay, so an expression is like a phrase, and then an equation rather is like the full complete sentence, right? So that's what's going on with that. All right. Today, what we're going to do with algebraic expressions is the idea of evaluating. And evaluating simply means plug it in, right? I'm going to give you an expression that has a variable, and then I'm going to tell you what the variable means, and then you're going to plug it in. That's what that means. So there's some calculations you got to make. You got to figure out adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, that sort of stuff. Okay, so let's start with one that's hopefully not too bad. So if I said, for example, evaluate 3 times x minus 4 if x is equal to, let's say 5. Okay, evaluate 3 times x minus 4 if x equals 5. All right, so what does that mean? That means, first of all, we have an expression, right? This is our expression right here. 3 times x minus 4, that's our expression. Again, no equal sign, so it's just an equation. Or so it's not an equation. So next what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, well, instead of x, though, I'm going to say x is equal to 5, right? So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. So all that means is this. Instead of x becomes 5. And then everything else stays the same. So then let's go ahead and do our order of operations. Okay. Remember, we got to do parentheses first, right? PEMDAS, parentheses first. 5 minus 4 is 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Now notice how I work straight down. That's really important. It's going to help us stay organized. Don't work across or have your work be all kind of crazy. If you work straight down, it's going to keep everything organized. And this way I see what happened. I saw that the x became a 5. I saw that 5 minus 4 became a 1. Okay. And then 3 times 1 became 3. So that way I can see what my steps are. Pretty simple. All you're doing is plugging in and then doing the work. Okay, let's do another one. This one is something that gets people confused a lot. What is AB if A is equal to -5 and B is equal to 3? Now, this does not mean -53. Some people say, oh, I get it, Mr. Leong. A is -5 and B is 3, so it's -53. No, okay? First of all, we need to understand very clearly what AB means. AB actually means A times B. Okay, whenever you put just a letter together like that, it's multiplication. There's only 4 things, guys: add, subtract, multiply, divide. If I don't see a plus sign, it's not adding. If I don't see a minus sign, it's not subtracting. If I don't see a division or a fraction, then that one's division. So if the numbers are just right next to each other, either with parentheses or not, it's actually multiplication. Okay, it's very important that you understand that that's actually A times B. Okay, so now let's plug it in. -5 times 3. So what's -5 times 3? Go ahead and do that one. All right, -5 times 3 is, we know the answer is going to be negative, and 5 times 3 is 15. What do you think? That makes sense? So whenever you have 2 letters right next to each other, or a number and a letter right next to each other, it's multiplication. That's what some people get really confused with sometimes. So let's try another one here. Ooh, some negatives in here. All right, what is 3p plus 2 if p is equal to -4? Go ahead and put the answer in the chat. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right. Good. Okay, people are in the chat. Looks like we're getting pretty well there. Good. Yes. Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. So let's plug it in. I like to use parentheses. It kind of like helps me keep in mind like what's inside the box, like what the letter represents, right? Especially when we get to some ones that are a little bit tougher. So here we go. So that's 3 times -4, which is -12 plus a positive 2. -12 plus a positive 2 is -10. Right? What do you think? Not too bad? All right. Hopefully that's not too bad. You guys ready? Let's try one that's a little bit harder. You guys seem to be doing pretty well on this. All right, this one's going to be pretty tough. Here we go. 6y minus 3w if y is equal to 4 and w is equal to -2. Go ahead and put that one in the chat once you think you got it. Not quite. Not quite. Nope, not yet. Still haven't got a correct answer yet. No. Yeah, this one's a little bit tricky. This one's a little bit tricky. Yes, Jacob. Good job. Mm-hmm. Good. Yes, good. Good, Wei Dong. Good, Baron. Yeah, it's definitely these are definitely ones that you want to write out, and these are especially when it gets with the negatives. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Let's try this. Okay, so again, our y is 4 and our w is -2. Okay, this is really important that that I recommend writing it all out so that you can see where things again, if you don't deal with something, then it stays there. Okay, so the 6 I haven't done anything with. So far, all I know is I've changed the y to a 4 and the w to a -2. Everything else is the same. Okay, so now I'm ready to do the math, right? So now I can say, all right, 6 times 4, well, that's 24. 3 times -2 is -6. Now notice, I have not done anything with this negative sign, right? You can see right here that the negative sign just continues on because I've yet to use it. I haven't used it yet. It's almost like when you're playing cards and you like have that one card in your hand and you haven't played it down yet. It's like Uno or something like that. It stays there. It doesn't change. It doesn't move anywhere. All right, so now I have to understand I've got minus, I've got to do keep switch change here. 24, keep, switch, and change is actually 24 plus 6, which gives me 30. All right. So these are the kind of questions you're going to see. And again, the negatives also, that's what makes it a little more interesting. I think you guys did a little bit of this in 6th grade, but again, with negatives, it makes it all the more confusing. So let's do just one more just to make sure that we've got it, and then I'll send you on your way. Okay, go ahead and do this one. Mm-hmm. Not quite. Yep, that's right. Yep. Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. Good job. Not quite. Yes, good. Good job, Andrew. Yep. All right, here we go. Let's take a look. X is -3, so here we go. -3. V is 2 times W. Remember, that's V times W. VW means V times W. 2 times -5 is -10. -3 plus a -10 makes for a -13. And there you go. All right, so again, all you're doing here, same thing. Plug in the numbers and then simplify it. And always watch out for those negatives, right? Always watch out for those negatives because that's where things get, yeah, that's where mistakes kind of happen. Yeah.